This is a metric frame, that is, it can be viewed in a three-dimensional way. Allows the measurement of observed objects. Of course, what you see. With a modeling program and with the technique of stereometric modeling, we can cover everything we see with a skin. In essence, the three-dimensional model can be transformed into a virtual model, which of course can be rotated, can be observed from multiple points of view, can be selected like any virtual model, and even can be switched to CAD/CAM to be materialized. It is clear that observing such a frame, it's a bit like entering a warehouse. Or you have clear ideas about what to buy. Or you risk buying exactly what is not of interest. Already in front of this simple frame. First of all, we would have a moral duty to make an inspection on the detected area, at least to know the materials. Just to say, the columns at the entrance, or other material. So that in modeling we can take this into account. Another point is to decide what to detect. It is clear that the columns, for example, we can rebuild them brick by brick. Taking into account, however, that when we do this, in addition to the time required, we risk frighteningly weighing down the model. So you have to decide whether to do this to rebuild a few columns at the library level, and replace it later in the composition of the whole scene. You need machines protected enough to handle heavy models. It is important to have clear ideas about the data that needs to be communicated. It is clear that we may be tempted to bring back even the plaster that has fallen in some areas. Bring back the bricks you see below. However, we must never forget that today this three-dimensional optical model is available to everyone. Can be observed, recalled quickly with a simple click. Also via the network, so, in my opinion, it is useless to think of reporting all the existing details. Because, if you need to represent the wetland, you take the slabs and return what you need. The slab is examined with finalization, the size of the stain is seen, and everything that can be of interest. But what is important to me, do not forget, always at school level, that all this reconstruction is a cultural operation. So if we still have to look at the church bench, it is useless to make a shape. Make the skin of the bench how it can be done with the laser scanner. You have to study it, going on site, if it still exists, and rebuild it, piece by piece, as a carpenter would do. Only in this way, in my opinion, does such an operation make culture. It is clear that we must also know the types and the various types of wood. And an operation that, at school level, cannot be done within a single discipline. The competition of all disciplines is needed. In my opinion, a student when enrolling, for example in engineering, should adopt a monument. Even in a project not of great importance, and rebuild it step by step. With the help of the disciplines of representation, of the technical disciplines. With everything related to statics, history, etc., etc. And it can only this way it can arrive to a degree thesis, that is a degree texts. That is, that it can communicate a project. Because we must not forget a very important fact. That the survey, we have already seen several times, is a project. And, as in the restoration project, we try to report. According to fashions, we try to bring the building back to its origin. Or adapt it to new features. We have an obligation to bring the building back to its origin. Show the subsequent transformations. Basically, we should fill in a medical record of the building to show all the various transformations. And this is possible today with these techniques. Just to say, you can remove the organ and bring back the entrance with the simple stone. I can imagine how it was changed in the tot year. I can show, with successive scenes, like in a movie, all possible transformations. Moreover, unlike the paper material, this digital material can be stored in practically zero space, and also transmitted remotely. In this case, composing the refunds of the various shots has been rebuilt. We stopped at the central nave and the two lateral ones. We postponed until later the reconstruction of the altar, and all the most interesting area of the Cathedral of Acerenza, to give an idea of what can be done. We will see with a subsequent step how we can assemble these parts and walk inside them safely. I think a nicer thing about modeling is that once the model is made, you can take it apart, assemble, and in all construction elements, frame it from different points of view. We can show it as we see fit. All this, however, makes us reflect on a very important fact. Because here you have to come back, always to insist that the individual pieces, they must be reproduced as accurately as possible, retracing the path of those who made them.